Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're going to tackle a grammar concept that, let's be honest, confuses a lot of people, the passive voice. But this isn't going to be some dry grammar lesson. Nope. We're going to show you how to actually use it as a secret weapon, a really powerful tool for communication. So yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, just take a look at these two sentences. On the left, we've got someone stole my car. And on the right, my car was stolen. Now, they're both saying the same basic thing, but they feel different, don't they? One is super direct, almost personal. The other feels a bit more detached, maybe a little more formal. That feeling, that difference, is exactly what we're talking about today.
So let me ask you, which one of these sounds more like something you'd read in a police report? I'm willing to bet you're pointing to the one on the right. My car was stolen. But why? Well, think about it. In that situation, the most important piece of information isn't the someone who did it, because we don't know who that is. The focus is 100% on the car and what happened to it. That little shift in focus? That's a deliberate communication choice.
And that choice is all thanks to the passive voice. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual blueprint for this thing to really get what it is and, more importantly, how to build it yourself.
So here's the official definition. Basically, in the passive voice, the subject of the sentence isn't doing anything at all. Instead, it's just sitting there, receiving the action. So instead of saying, the chef cooked the meal, where the chef is doing the work, we flip it around and say, the meal was cooked. See that? The spotlight moves from the chef right onto the meal.
And that leads us right to the core formula. And honestly, it's surprisingly simple. All you do is you take your subject, that's the thing getting the action, you add the verb to be in whatever tense you need, and then you follow it up with the past participle of your main verb. That's the whole shebang. That's the structure right there.
Let's break that down into a super simple 5-step recipe. Let's start with an active sentence, something like, the committee approved the budget. Okay, step 1. What's the object? The budget. Easy. Step 2, we move it right to the front. So now we have the budget. Step 3, add the right form of be. This happened in the past, so we use was. Step 4, use the past participle of approve, which is approved. And there you have it. The budget was approved. And that last step, step 5, it's totally optional. You could add by the committee, but a lot of the time, the whole point of using passive voice is that you can just leave that part out.
Okay, so we've got the what and the how covered. Now for the really important part, the when and the why. Let's look at how this blueprint turns into a really practical tool you can use every day. This is all about strategy. You use the passive voice when the action itself is the real star of the show. Think about a science report. The experiment was conducted. We don't really care who did it. It's the work that matters. You use it when the person doing the action is a total mystery, just like with our stolen car example. And here's where it gets really useful for sounding more formal or academic. Saying the results will be announced just sounds more objective and official than saying we will announce the results. And you see this all the time in the news, right? A new law was introduced. It creates this sense of authority by focusing on the event, not the politicians behind it. You know, the really cool thing about that core formula, that be plus the past participle, is just how flexible it is. Let's see it in action across some of the most common tenses. The only thing you have to watch is how that little be verb changes to match the time.
So for the present simple tense, a sentence like, she writes a letter, just becomes, a letter is written. The be verb is simply is. Super easy, right?
And for the past simple, same deal. They built the house flips to the house was built. Be just turns into was or were. Simple.
What about the future? They will finish the project turns into the project will be finished. The be part just becomes will be. You're probably seeing the pattern by now.
And even when you get to a slightly more complex tense like the present perfect, the rule still holds strong. They have completed the work becomes the work has been completed. That core formula is just incredibly consistent. The only thing that ever changes is that be verb.
All right, so you've got the blueprint, you know when to use it. Now let's cover a couple of pro tips and, more importantly, a few common traps to watch out for. This is what will really help you use this tool like an expert.
Okay, here is mistake number 1, and it's a big one. I hear this all the time. Someone will say something like, the homework was finished. It sounds off, doesn't it? That's because a key ingredient from our formula is missing. And the fix is so simple. You have got to remember to always use the past participle of the verb. It's not finish, it's finished. The homework was finished. That sounds right, because it is right.
Now the second common trap is just as frequent. People completely forget the be verb. They'll say something like, the room cleaned yesterday.
You can kind of guess what it means, but it feels broken, incomplete. And the correction, of course, is just to pop that essential be verb right back where it belongs. The room was cleaned yesterday. That be verb is literally the engine of the passive voice. You just can't have one without the other.
Okay, so let's pull all this together with a few final takeaways. First, remember that by phrase is almost always optional. You can usually just drop it. Second, this only works for verbs that take an object. You can't say something like, I was arrived, it just doesn't work. And most importantly, remember to use this tool when you really want to put the focus on the result and create a more formal, objective tone.
So what this all really comes down to is this. The passive voice isn't some dusty, complicated grammar rule to memorize. It's a strategic choice. It's a tool that helps us put the focus exactly where we want it, on what happened, not necessarily on who did it. Master it, and you've added a seriously sophisticated and powerful tool to your communication toolkit.